Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you another video. All right, so I made a nice little video just now talking about my opinion about the Steph and LeBron rumors, them coming to the Lakers, which I don't think is possible. I encourage everybody to go check out my whole take on that, but that's literally what it comes down to. But now I wanted to talk about whatever came to mind in the therapy session, man. Last night was pretty rough on my stomach. I did not have a good stomach night. I do think that my body, just like everything else, is starting to reject what it was telling me it was fine with, which is the fake beef that I've been eating. It's like a plant-based beef that I've been getting from Target. I think this particular batch has been especially gas creating, I guess you can say. And it was not a pleasant night for me last night at all. A lot of stomach pain, tossing and turning. It was not good. So, just got to continue to look for stuff that I can eat, man. I don't understand it. It's like my body allows me to eat certain things, and then those same things, if I try to eat it again, it rejects. That's really what I'm starting to see the pattern is. But at the end of the day, man, we just got to keep on living. I feel great right now. Everything is fine 100% right now, but that was not a good night for me in regards to that. So, at the end of the day, just got to keep looking for things that work for you, man. You can't just eat stuff that you're allergic to. You can't ignore your body. If your body's telling you something's no good, you just gotta, adhere to it. And even if it's dwindling down to very little things you can eat, you just gotta go ahead and do what you can, man. If it means going vegan or whatever, that's what you do. So that's kind of what I'm faced with, man. I can't really eat much of anything. Nothing that tastes good anyway. If it's seasoned a certain way, if it has milk in it, if it has eggs in it, all of that is just not happening. So yeah, man, that's what I've been dealing with. Made a playlist last night. It was a good one. Found this dude named Young Deja, whose music I like. So I made an entire playlist with his music on it. Encourage everybody to check that out. I haven't actually uploaded it yet, but on Apple Music, BDF 44 at Apple Music. It's the K-List 390. So that's there, man. I really like the vibes that he put together there. Remind me of some DJ Quick type music from the back in the day. Somebody that does a lot of music with Wiz Khalifa and stuff like that. So he's got that kind of vibe. I hadn't really worked with that type of vibe in a while. I've been venturing away from hip hop as much as I could. But I think some decent stuff came out over this last couple of days. So I think this was a good playlist. And then I got another one in a similar vein that I think will be made very soon as well. So I'm still working on my passions there. Putting art up as usual, working on just being as creative as possible. And, consistency is key, man. I'm not really looking for anything out of it other than to just get as great at it as I possibly can. That's literally where we're at. What else, man? It's the final week of my contract in regards to the room I'm in. It's been a good week a couple of weeks with this room. Hot, but my room is cool, so I've been very thankful. Spending more time in it than I probably like to. Away from the heat, but I figured I'd get out today and move around and just keeping a positive outlook, man, not trying to take things too seriously. A lot of times we look at our own lives and be so frustrated with different things like food allergies and I was telling y'all about my grandfather's situation, and he had taken a fall, dealing with concerns about him, of course, and continuing to pray for his betterment. I think the latest is now, he's had a couple good days in the hospital. They like what they saw there. It was, in fact, a fracture of the knee. As we initially said, it was then some confusion about whether or not it was the hip or not, but it ultimately came down to be what it was initially told to me as the knee. And now we're going to go forward. Hopefully my uncle and my aunt can come together to find the right rehabilitation center for him. I think that's really what my uncle was asking for in regards to prayers, because that's really what it's about. They got to scramble to find the right place for him. He has so many horror stories about putting your elderly loved ones in these places and they're not treating them right. So that's really what we're doing now, is just finding a place for him so that he can rehab the knee and then get back home. That's really what it's about. So, that's what it is, man. Those prayers are already being out there. And so at this point, we just wait for the next update, and hopefully that update will be good. And You know, that's really where we are as far as my grandfather's concerned. Appreciate all the support and prayers that are coming his way. He's doing better. That's the word. So you know, I mean, that's really what it is, man. Just minding what I got to mind out here. I ain't really been leaving the house like I want to because of that heat and because of just trying to cut back on costs of it required to go where I like to go, as I've been having to do for a good half of this year. It ain't free to get on the train. You know what I mean? They want to have you double tap in the train at this point when you're going to North Hollywood Station. So it's like all that costs. And it's just like, if I'm not going anywhere for a purpose, or if I don't really feel like getting out, I'm not going to just be getting out to be getting out. And so I don't prefer that, but it is what it is, man. So I'm out today, though. Don't really have a destination. Don't necessarily have to shop for anything. So figured I'd find myself somewhere. Don't know where I'm going necessarily, but maybe Hollywood, maybe Santa Monica, maybe to go see Mom's grave, maybe, you know, a lot of different options for me right now. But the most important thing was to just get out and get some fresh air and enjoy the day. That's it, you know what I mean? But you know, for me, I think what I really wanted to do on this camera, of course, I always like to do, is shed some light on the things that I'm paying attention to outside of my own life. And you know, as I like to talk about ad nauseum, the genocide in Gaza, in Palestine, and that situation that's going on there, for which I think needs as much dialogue as humanly possible. And I've been paying a lot of attention to it over the last several days. And it's just an understanding that there's a real disconnect. There's a real disconnect between what we're hearing from the other side of things and what we feel should be done morally, you know, and their perception of threats and what their reaction should be to those threats and what maybe I was raised to believe should be done in these type of situations. It's a real moral disconnect. And I think that what this has done is exposed that moral disconnect. And the question I have is, do those who've lived amongst us, who align with Israel, understand that that disconnect is in place to such a vast degree, to where you feel like you have a right to do all of these devilish, horrible things to people that you feel are a threat to you? And we feel that people who are a threat to us should be handled with a certain sense of morality, even if they are guilty of such things. We live in a society here in America where we believe in due process. Many people have lost people to horrific crimes and have had to swallow their pride and swallow that pain and not go after those people on their own terms to do the things that would ultimately satisfy that evil urge inside of them for revenge. We have many times seen people in courtrooms take a dive after the person that harmed their loved one and see police officers, rightfully so, stop them from doing so that due justice can be served in that courtroom. And that is something that has molded our scope on how circumstances should otherwise be handled and how we, when in those circumstances, are expected to behave. Okay? That's the thought that's come to mind. And there are many people who are in support of this genocide, and their intentions is to tell us that for which is what's expected of us is what they are betraying by engaging in the genocide support. Because they feel that because something happened horribly to them on October 7th, they essentially proverbially have a right to go attack who they need to attack to satisfy whatever urges they have for revenge. And do they understand that we identify that as a dereliction of the morals that we've been forced to align with? Because to me, that's where the disconnect is. The disconnect is that they want us to believe that we should sit by idly as they betray those morals for reasons that they feel are just, when we're not able to do so in our own personal circumstances without harsh consequences. So my thing is this. My personal opinion is that that is a load of bullcrap. That they want to in fact kill these people and that they never served any threat to them. That October 7th was in fact a reaction to what happened over 76 years, and that this is just a continuation of the suffering that they want to uphold over these people's heads. But for what it is that they're providing us in regards to the PR circumstance, it still doesn't necessarily align with anything that would otherwise make any sense for us to support. I don't understand it. If I were advising them to try to justify what it is they're doing, I would say stay within the realms of the morality that you've upheld in regards to governing the people that you're talking to. You have made it so that they cannot, in fact, leash and lash out rather to people that have done certain things to their family members without harsh consequences. If I go back and get back, I should expect that you are going to tell me that I can't do it and then proceed to give me consequences for doing so. So if your explanation for why you are willing to engage in the behavior that you're engaging in doesn't align with my morality, how do you think you can win me over? With the lines from which I'm told I have to engage in order to be a member of society that is expected, or respected rather, why would I then side with you on your morality? There's a disconnect within what it is that they're telling us, even though what they're telling us, I don't believe. But it's almost like they don't perceive us for what we are when they tell us that this is what they're going to do. And this is why they're doing it, and this is why they feel they should be supported in doing it. In other words, the lie's not very good. They are so out of touch with the reality of the relationship we have between ourselves in the state, or ourselves in the government, or ourselves in whatever individual Western societies, that they would tell us something that would reveal to us that for which is distant. Essentially is what I'm saying. That for which is distant. The lie itself exposes a certain thing that would otherwise be protested against in our society. So my confusion is, for all of what it is they control, and all for what it is of the support they've received, and all for what it is that they have going on in regards to having people support them in our government, and having people support them in our entertainment, and having people support them all over the corporate world, why is it that that is not covered? So that what it is that they're telling us would more so align with something that I don't have to question based on the standards of my own morality. Do they not understand that them telling them, all of us, that they feel themselves to be better than all of us and above the law is not something that we will rebel against? It's confusing to me. Never mind that you're showing me that in your actions, but even if I'm to listen to your words, you are telling me that you are able to do things that I cannot do, that I will be shunned for doing, and that I should support you doing it. You're creating the problem that you're saying you're trying to dissolve, which is what doesn't really add up, Israel. And then you scurry behind the people that you've paid as if they can put out the fire that you started by doing all of this. And by speaking the way that you are about doing all of this. It doesn't make any sense. And so when I come to you guys and I say the devil will always expose himself even when his intention is to protect himself, this is exactly the sign of that. From a spiritual standpoint, it's just the devil within what it is that they're doing, and the devil's intention to always spite himself and everyone that works for him. So they're going by way of engaging in such devilish behavior, moving along the lines of the devil's algorithm, which is always going to expose and embarrass and confuse and show his confusion and his weakness. Because in trying to convince everybody to support him, he reveals to all of them that he is not to be trusted. and that he does not align with the morality that they engage in. So how could that support otherwise come? That's what Israel's doing. They're telling us that they can do things to people that threaten them that they would never allow us as regular citizens who's supposed to be supporting them to do to the people that hurt us. So that they are in fact better than us, and we should be at peace with that. And isn't the whole point to not expose that you believe you are better than us? So that we will align peacefully in regards to whatever it is that you're trying to do? Because once people think there's some imbalance and that their own egos are in the balance, that they're not being respected ego-wise, of course the natural inclination of a grown man and a collection of men is to rebel against that. It's not to align with that. It's to rebel against that. Are you so disconnected from the common man and woman that you would not know that you telling me you think you're better than me and then proceeding to do something you wouldn't allow anyone else to do isn't going to rile up that for which is inside of me that would rebel against you? I don't believe that there's any non-spiritual way I can make sense of what it is that they're telling us. Nothing non-spiritual. Spiritually, I can make all the sense in the world of it. Secularly, there's no sense to be made of how they go about justifying what it is they're doing there. It doesn't make any sense. And so that's the part that throws me completely off. That's the part that I really am just having a hard time even wrapping my head around. No, I can't wrap my head around the actions itself. They are in and of themselves inexplicable. But them trying to justify it or telling themselves that they're trying to justify it is so incredibly inaccurate in actually doing so that I genuinely wonder what it is they're actually doing when trying to tell us that this is what is behind their actions. Doesn't make any sense. Is it some infighting in regards to who's putting this in our faces? In regards to that explanation? And that they're really dry snitching on one another? That kind of adds up a little bit. Factions within their own organization that makes it clear to some of us that they don't align with it. And that this is what they're trying to express to us, that we shouldn't either. That makes sense. And I've been saying that since day one as a possibility. It could be what would be expected going forward. But to tell me to get on international television as an Israeli representative and say, we targeted 19 people in a school, and then proceed to receive the retort of two different organizations telling the world that what they found when they went to investigate that situation was that 89 civilians had lost their lives. And the only retort they could provide is that one of the two organizations they don't agree with, the other organization they don't know nothing about, and that they're losing the PR war, which is not really a retort. It's just a description of what is reality for them. I have no real explanation for why they thought we would go for that. October 7th. Y'all know I have my thoughts about what I think that actually was. Inside job. Their very own bombs killing their very own people. That's all I think that was, to further then provide this as a means of justifying to us that we should support them destroying Hamas and excuse any otherwise civilian casualties that would otherwise be collateral. because October 7th took place, and that we are to believe that these people were horrible, Hamas is. We are to believe that they did horrible things to these people, which have all been disproven. Each and every one of these things have basically been disproven. But we are to ignore that because, of course, Hamas provides a propaganda that is over all of our minds somehow. Now, if I'm supposed to just ignore any sense of intellect and any sense of recollection of facts being revealed to me, and I'm to solely go with what Israel is telling me to go with, then I look at what Israel is telling me and I say, this doesn't align with what I was told I'm supposed to do when somebody hurts someone that I care for. That alone betrays the moral compass that I was raised to believe America's about. If I'm to ignore all that it is that I've seen, if I'm to ignore all that it is that I've heard in regards to retorts and shown in regards to footage, anything that would otherwise make Israel look like the bad guy. If I'm solely listening to what Israel is saying, they're telling me to betray my own moral compass and support them in doing something that I cannot do myself if someone did something to my people. It doesn't make sense at all. And it's because they're talking to two different moral compasses at the same time. They're talking to their own people and the compass that they describe to, which is completely different than America's in regards to how to handle these situations. In America, we think rape is bad, no matter what form of it is, no matter who you're doing it to, it shouldn't be done. In Israel, they believe rape is necessary if the threat deserves it. And if you've deemed the threat deserves it, then all bets are off. Any cruel and unusual punishment is justifiable based on who it is that you're doing it to and what it is you believe they would be willing to do or have done to you. That's the Israeli moral compass. We ain't gonna do that to nobody we don't deem needs it, but that of whom needs that behavior or deserves that behavior, it is fine. Not only is it fine, but it's encouraged. And when you're talking to them and talking to us, and then you're trying to display a certain sense of justifiability that should be bought into, you're gonna lose one half or another. You're either gonna lose us or you're gonna lose them. And I think that's what's happening here. I think that's what's happening here. They're losing the PR not because of anything other than them pointing the wrong moral compass at the wrong people. That's not how we operate. That's what we were told is wrong. We don't do that. So in the event you're trying to justify something that shouldn't be done any damn way, you end up giving the wrong things to the wrong folks. That's why you're losing the PR war, because that's not how we operate. That's not how we justify anything. We don't justify rape. We don't justify maiming people and torturing people as it pertains to, well, they could be a threat, so that's what they get. No, that's not how we operate. It's not how you allowed us to be raised to believe things should be done. Not at all. That's not what you say to the American people. No. You reveal yourself to be morally bankrupt, corrupt, and demented to this mindset, to these sets of norms. That's not how we do things. Now, maybe if this was the 1800s and you could shoot a guy in a saloon, you know what I'm saying, and still get off because, you know, I mean, it was a fair fight. We both drew at the same time. If that's how we're doing things, then maybe that bit of propaganda might fly. But in 2024's America, hell no, friends. We're way too soft for that. That's not, no, hell no. We look at you as monsters. Not to say that you are not monsters for the reality of things, but even that for which it is that you're telling us to believe exposes you to be a damn monster to this group of people. I don't honestly know what Israel's trying to accomplish. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish. I know what they're actually trying to accomplish. I believe I know what they're actually trying to accomplish. And I believe there's no good thing behind it. But when they try to express to us that we support them, that they would be confused as to why that support isn't coming is mind-blowing to me. Absolutely mind-blowing. Especially when a good portion of them are from here. when a great deal of those people are from this place. And look, let me say this. If I were a deviant, lying, genocidal maniac, and I thought within my heart of hearts, based on my religion, that people should be supporting my genocide of innocent children, there would still be some identification of what those who I otherwise want support from are and are not. You understand what I'm saying? Just because I'm this way and I think everybody should be this way doesn't mean I don't have a feel for that you are not this way. That's what's really odd about all of this. That's what's so incredibly odd about all of this. I tell you right now, man, there's another thought that comes to mind that's not related to what we've been talking about, but it's another thought. The wisdom behind why you don't behave that way is because you end up awakening that for which it is that you're willing to do in others who are willing to then return to you what you've done to others. We don't want to justify rape because you could be raped when you do that. You don't want to justify telling people that they could do weird things to people who've hurt people, because sometimes when we identify who's hurt people, we get it wrong. Literally. That's the wisdom behind not doing that. Because sometimes you think a guy did something and he didn't do it. And even though the odds are not incredibly great from person to person, that energy could be pointed at you one day where somebody thinks you did something and didn't do it. So when that energy gets pointed at you and the norms of the day is to allow people to grape you or torture you, you do understand that you're getting raped and tortured for something that you did not do, for which would be normal and celebrated. This is why we don't do that, amongst other reasons, but that's one of the main ones. Because sometimes you get it wrong. We've seen that. So, for me, that the wisdom of such is so absent in the situation is also very strange. How they don't understand or don't appear to identify with the reality of such energy then being pointed back at them. And I look at these settlers and I'm looking at all this footage of them misbehaving and throwing rocks at people and all these different things that align with the apartheid mentality of pushing Palestinians aside in such a demeaning and horrible way, taking their rights from them, pushing them all into a corner. The wisdom behind why one shouldn't do that even when they have the power or the idea that they want to do that, why one would discipline themselves against that type of behavior, it's because of what follows that behavior. Which is what Israel's running into now. It's a bunch of people that want to see all of them unalived. Do you know how much support I see online for the dropping of napalm bombs on Israel? Do you have any idea how much support I see for that? It's almost unanimous in multiple places. Instagram, Telegram, TikTok, although I'm not on TikTok, but I know the same content is over in TikTok as it is on Instagram. People want a lot of negative energy pointed at Israel. That's going to kill a lot of people, man. It's going to be a lot of celebrations for the unaliving of individuals that we've never seen, nor know was there. I have prayed a great deal of prayers to discipline myself against that, because I know for an absolute fact that there are people, even in the occupied land of Palestine that is known as Israel, that are good people, wholesome individuals who want to live amongst others, who will fight against this nonsense, who will soon be awakened from what it is that is ultimately over their eyes, and then will allow themselves to become in solidarity with people that they otherwise would show solidarity for if they were raised the same way I was. Those people are not a part of what their government's doing, but that of what is being supported by so many in our faces makes it so that we want to point at them the same, if not worse, energy that is being pointed at the Palestinians. You welcome deep vitriol toward yourself when you put a united front up for that for which is a dereliction of morality. When you tell yourself that you're greater than everyone else and that nobody is going to react poorly to that, leaves you vulnerable, deeply, deeply vulnerable to some weird and unusual punishment. That's what I'm trying to express. You can't tell everybody that you're comfortable with rape and torture and doing all types of weird stuff to children and all of this, and then expect people not to want to see you off the face of the earth. They're gonna want you gone. The whole lot of you. And that's what these people seem to be. There's a disconnect there. I don't think they really see that coming. You have a whole world of people that want you dead now, Israel. Whole world of people, bro. Very few of them care about the innocent people in your surroundings. Very few people believe in your redemption from person to person to person because of what it is that we're seeing so many of you support. And that is unfair to the few of you, or the more of you, who don't. It's just like I said about my own people. When everybody thinks that we're going to rob somebody or kill somebody or gangbang or whatever, they don't even think that a person like me exists. I'm not even here. I'm fathoming that that person is over in Israel. I've seen enough of those young people that don't want to engage in this genocide. They've spoken up. They've spoken out. The good Jewish people are also being treated poorly and bullied for their intentions against Zionist supremacy. They're there. They would too be wiped out. Their homes too would be exposed to whatever bombs would otherwise be on their heads in response to this genocide. It's not oblivious to me that there are good people in bad places, man. That's why I don't believe we should be bombing prisons, because there are good people in bad places. And they deserve an opportunity to be given the right to humanity, which is why what Israel's doing is so damn backwards to the moral compass that we engage in. Because we really can fathom that not only there are innocent people there, but that it is more important to protect the innocent than to neutralize threats. I don't need to kill 86 innocent people because 18 bad people were there. That's bad math to me. That's bad math to the society I've been raised in. So if you're going to try to justify to me why something like that should be done, you can't bring that to me. I'm not going to make any sense of that. And that's essentially what is going on here. The disconnect. That what would be justifiable and supported is not. They don't understand, it seems, that this is never ever going to be something accepted by most of us. That we will then, in turn, do what we do to create static in that process because of that for which you've done, and showing us that you are morally bankrupt to our standards. It ain't that difficult to really understand if you're in touch, even remotely in touch. All this is exposed to me that not only are they not in touch, but they deeply do not care for what happens to them in regards to response to what it is that they're doing. The defenses, they're not up. Because if they were, they would have a great deal of appreciation for the horror that can come about when people from all over the world intentionally want you wiped off the map, and you don't have a state of your own outside of that little bitty California-sized land that you've ultimately stolen from these people. You don't have what you need to protect yourself from what's coming at you when you engage this way. It's self-destructive. And you can rely upon, we control the government, we control this, control that, but you don't control the people. You don't control that of the movement of millions of human beings toward you and away from you and around you. And that's what you're immobilizing when you do this in the way that they've done it. So that's what I'm saying to y'all. People can do whatever they want, but their envision of what happens after they've done it, that's what's really foggy in all of this. So you think you're just going to erect a bunch of wonderful settlements and now people are just going to chill and allow you to have those settlements? Settlements are going to be attacked every 3 days from every single where. Why do you think you're going to have peace in that place? No one's going to allow you to be peace there. That's the whole point. You've lost the PR war in such a way that immobilizes that from everywhere. Everybody's mad at you. Except for people who support you, and they're exposing themselves in a lot of cases, if not most, as abusers and aggressive people and those who are, immoral in their own right in regards to our standards. Every which way you look, people who are supporting them are slapping people. I saw a man this morning punching a woman. Saw a dude, a settler, kick a animal. Like, these are the people who are supporting you? And you think you're going to win the PR war? So that's what I'm saying, man. At some point in time, there have to be some individuals who are on their side that have to look at what I've said and say, yo, this really doesn't add up. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's go look back at our Talmud, try to see if we can really make some sense of what we're doing here. Because if we think we're about to just chill after doing this, that's not how this actually plays out. And the world that you were in when you were putting all this together is not the world you're in now that it's over with, now that it's going on. Because everybody was leaving you alone and just not saying nothing about you. And at this point, now you got the whole world looking at you like, what the hell is going on with you? They're looking at you with your flag like it's a swastika. What world do you think you're in? BDL 44. I thank you all for watching. Wow.